Hello everybody, welcome to its GSX-R o'clock. So we've got a new project in the garage and it's this 1985 GSX-R 750. Now, before we get going, I've got a quick question for you. When is the last time you actually see one of these really early GSX-R slabbies, as people call them, on the road? I haven't seen one for a long time, and that's why I want to get this project going and get this bike back on the road where it should be. So we have here one of the first GSX-R 750 models, the F, from 1985. It's the first sports bike as such that we sort of recognise in this modern age, and that sort of all of the modern sports bikes have evolved from. In 1986 they changed it to the G model, which had a slightly different fairing. It had a bit of a curve to it, and it also had a slightly longer swing arm by around 25mm, because the first F model, like this one, they said it could be a little bit twitchy in the corners and needed a bit of extra stability. In 1987, for the H model, they changed the forks to a slightly bigger diameter to try and stiffen up the front end. So each one of the GSX-R models is slightly different, but they all almost look the same. Now, my bike here, I've owned for between 8 and 10 years. I can't actually quite remember when I bought it, but I do remember buying it for £400, which I think is a bit of a bargain really. At the time, nobody wanted the GSX-Rs. Most people street fighted them, chopped the subframes off and made a bit of a mess. And when I see this one come into the bike shop I was working at, I'd never seen an original 1985 GSX-R, and I ended up taking it home. Now, this also might sound a bit strange, but I'm not sure who owns the bike. After a couple of years of owning it, I got a little bit bored and Bill wanted a project, so I thought, why not sell it to me dad? I sold it to him, and then I'm pretty sure he gave up bikes for a while, I'm not sure, and then gave it back to me. But he's not sure he did give it back to me, and I'm pretty sure he did. So we're not actually sure if it's mine or Bill's bike, but I'm pretty sure it's mine. Now, when I first bought the bike, I wanted to keep it really standard. I almost wanted to sort of make it concourse, make sure everything was right and how it should be as it came out of the factory. But over the years, I've kind of come around to the fact that as clean as this bike looks, it looks good from afar, but it's far from good. It does have its imperfections. Now I'm not so bothered about it being exactly as it came out of the factory. I think it's a good usable example that I can use on the road and not be too worried about actually using it, as opposed to a museum piece you'd be scared to take it out or scratch it. So that's why I want to finally get it back on the road. With most projects, there's normally a few things to do on a bike, and this bike is no exception. Like I said earlier, it's been sat around for probably 8 years. I don't think it started in about 4 years, and it's suffered as such. The bike's going to need a good service. It's going to want spark plugs. It's going to want the oil changing and the oil filter. The battery that was on it lasted about 6 or 7 years. It did really well, but after years of not really being used, there was only so much the trickle charger could do, and it's finally given up the ghost. So time for a new battery. I want to give the tank a clean out as well, as it's been sitting around with some stale fuel in. I'm not sure if it's got much fuel in anymore, because I think we might have stolen it to put in the lawnmower. So I want to make sure the fuel that's coming out of the tank is nice and clean, so it doesn't give it any running problems. Talking of running problems, the carbs are really going to need some attention. This bike's got the VM29 flat side carbs fitted. It doesn't have its original airbox. It's got individual pod filters, which I'm not a massive fan of, but rumour has it, I think it's one of these old wives' tales, that you need to remove the engine from the frame to get an airbox in. Now, I've never tried to put the airbox in, but I might just give it a go to see if it fits. But if it is true what they say, the engine's got to come out, so I'll probably stick with the pod filters. But the carbs are going to need stripping and freeing up because they're actually C-solid. You try and twist the throttle and they won't open, so they're going to need a good clean and a free up and a hell of a service to get them working well. Many years ago, Bill did a few bits to this bike. It used to have white wheels in it. It's now got lovely black powder coated items. The calipers were very bad and they got powder coated gold and they got rebuilt, but because they've sat around and they haven't done anything, they have seized up. The master cylinder is particularly bad and it's got some horrible old braided lines on it that want replacing. So the brakes are going to have to come apart, get serviced, put back together so they're working as good as they can. Another item that I'm hoping is not going to cause any issues or not become a big issue is the fork seal. The right hand side fork seal did leak when I bought the bike. I did replace it, but again it's sat around, hasn't done anything, and it started leaking again. So I'm hoping by putting a genuine seal in it, it will cure the problem and we won't have any issues. I've always had it in the back of my mind that maybe the stanchion needs replacing, but I'm really hoping it just wants a fork seal. And there's one last issue that I didn't even notice when I first bought the bike, and that is one of the lock stops is broken. The steering lock on these works off of one of the lock stops, so someone's obviously tried to steal the bike in the last 33 years, so I need to get that repaired so it won't fail an MOT. So there we have it, our new project in the garage. I can't wait to start cracking on and getting the tools out, which I'll do next week. Next week I think I'm going to give it a big strip down and take everything off that needs to be removed, and then we can start from there. So that's it for this week. Thanks for tuning in, and if you could give the video a big thumbs up, leave us a comment, let us know what you think about the project, and if you press subscribe you won't miss any of the other project videos. So thanks again for watching, guys, and until next time, we'll see you later.